How you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jimmy. We're going to spend a day in the shop. Once I get it opened up, of course. We are having some nice warm weather. It's like summer. It's going to be about 85 today. About 75 degrees right now. It's actually kind of nice out. A little bit muggy for morning. Usually it's drier and cooler, but I bet you that weather will change in a heartbeat. I think we're supposed to get some cooler weather coming in on Sunday. Hope it's nice where you're at. We're getting things done. We're gonna do our best another day, learning something, having some fun, and getting people back on the road. That's what I like to do. We'll put some clips in so you know what to expect in this video today. Members also get to see it first, by the way. 2018 Hyundai Tucson. I've worked on this car now. This is 3 different days. I think my water pump is leaking. Well, as you can see, we got a lot going on around here. I gotta finish getting this place open up so we can get in there and get started. Let's get in there and do it. Stay tuned. I'm not sure about crazy good, but it's all right. This held last night. I was hoping this thing would stay up. I shut the valves off to leave it, the Vivor air jack, and see how it would hold. Stayed right where I locked it, which is pretty cool. Don't rely on it if you're lifting a car, though. Obviously you need a jack stand. I was only using it to push on the engine and not do damage, because I like the pads in really good shape, unlike our regular floor jack. So I'm getting this tensioner out of here last night. It says to lift it out the top, but I couldn't fit it out the top, especially not with the bolt in it, which I'm not sure where I put the bolt. I think it's up top. I'm gonna get the tensioner out here, I think. I wasn't even sure if it would fit, but it fit. So we got a new one. No worries. The first one I got yesterday was broken. This one, the box wasn't glued shut, but it had like a packing tape on it with the reinforced fibers in it, and it wasn't open. So unless someone retaped this one, hopefully it's not broken. This one's good. That's what we like to see. Now, problem being, I need to get this back up in the hole and get this bolt in there, and there's no room for you can't put this close to where it goes and then get the bolt to fit. So I got to kind of put it close and have it turned to get the bolt in, and then turn it back into place. And I don't know, I'm not thinking there's going to be lots of camera room in there, but we'll see what we can do. I'm going to just fish it back up in there and then let the car back down. This is not the way they tell you to do it. Like I said, they got their own ideas of how you should struggle. I think I might need to go upside down, and then I can get it from the top. Now, this bolt goes in here. Oh, Bill Bob. Love you guys. Love you guys. I am going to get this in here. I just haven't figured out how yet. Maybe I can lift it up high enough to sneak it in from the top. The problem is too, see the tensioner, it gets really deep back here because they need a ton of tension to get this to turn the motor with the belt. So the boss on that thing doesn't clear. Got it. Now, see if I can get it in there. And we are in good shape. There's also a ridge on the frame here for some reason. I'm not sure what that's for, and the wiring harness is right where the bolt is. It seems a little silly to me. Like you'd want the wiring harness an inch or two that way, or an inch, you know. We're gonna see if we can figure something out here to get it back together. I definitely don't want to do any damage or hurt the wiring. Oh, something's happening. I'm gonna go like this with a pry bar, get this harness out of the way. If I just get that bolt starting that hole, we're in business. See, this is floating. The bolt is wedged between the frame and the hole. We're getting close though. That's the good news. Something happened. Oh, tell him what he's won. Nothing. getting that bolt lined up is going to be fun. So I'm going to put this in to help, because this is going to be parallel with the other bolt. So my thinking is, if this is kind of snugged up, I won't tighten it, but just kind of snug it, then I know I'll be getting pretty straight with the other bolt. But again, the harness is in the way, so I'm gonna gently move the harness while I get my digits in there to get the bolt started. Feels like victory to me. I'm guessing you don't want to get too aggressive with this, because this is probably how that other one got broken and someone tried to force it in, I'm guessing. It's probably one of the most ridiculous GM designs I've seen. But hybrid stuff tends to be a little, how can you say, outside the box. This is going to be the hardest part of the whole job. I got to get this on, do the crank seal, which I got to check and see if that's even here yet. The belt, and then the axle, and this car will be good to go. We're doing a bunch of drain and fills and stuff too, but what's really odd is I can't get this in because this hits a bracket down here, a stop, to keep it from over traveling, I guess. So I have to get the belt on it, release this tensioner dealy hit. Well, I guess I can't really do that, but I think this is gonna have to go, this has to go further down, and this is keeping it from doing that. So I'm not really sure what the plan is. I'm not sure if I can take this piece off of here. There's a 10 hole in that, but I think that's part of this other bracket. I'm gonna get this tightened up, then I'm gonna see if I can loosen that and take it off. Other way. This one here, too close to the frame. Engine is up as high as it goes, so gotta do it by hand. A little at a time. Talk about riveting, edge of your seat content. Oh, it does move. That's cool. So maybe if I take the stop out of the way. Oh, look at that. Now I can get this in. This is a great setup they came up with. I don't know what the purpose is, but I know I gotta do the crank seal before I can even think about putting a belt on it. Once I tighten this up, of course, I think we'll put the belt on, and then we'll put this stop back in. Some vehicles you gotta be careful because the crank pulley and the crankshaft might not be keyed together. Some of the Fords use a friction fit, so you gotta be very careful. But this one, I double checked. You don't even need a puller. It's GM stuff. Some of you other guys that support other brands, you wouldn't understand, but GM's been making some real junk lately anyway. It's still funny though. See, it's keyed to the crank, keyed to the oil pump. But we're in there for this seal, which was leaking. You can see I cleaned this all off already before I took it apart. So some of you guys will be impressed to know, genuine GM parts. Heck yeah! I'm gonna pop that out of there with a pry bar of some sort. You don't want to catch the aluminum, only the seal. Nice and easy, the way we like it. Or even open the package to make sure we're on the right track. That all looks good. I'm going to clean this area up and we'll start putting this thing in here. Make sure there's no burrs, make sure I didn't hit it with my prying device at all. Everything's good. Comes with an installed bushing in the seal, and this also helps keep that Teflon, see the curvature in that, it keeps it in shape while it's in storage. So we're going to give this some love taps with a 39mm socket. Get it flush. You definitely want to make sure this is all square. So we'll check for that visually and with a finger. This line doesn't help, but what I'm doing is moving the socket around to catch the aluminum edges, to get it flush with those aluminum edges. Now everything looks pretty good. Should be able to pop the seal back in there. You don't want to lubricate these seals either. These are what they call self-lubricating. The Teflon actually burnishes into the crank pulley. That's why the belt material can damage it so easily. They're actually very durable, yet kind of fragile at the same time, if that makes sense. As long as there's no imperfections in that surface, it'll go quite a while before it ever leaks. But the design of the seal also is why when the PCV system and the valve cover is not working right, it'll actually whistle because it'll pull air in to the crankcase because the PCV is stuck. Let's get that pulley back in there. One more visual. Nice. Well, we haven't turned anything, so everything should be lined up perfectly, and it should drop in just like that. If you did a timing chain and had things apart, like the timing cover off, the oil pump will move, and you'll have to fight that a little more. Don't force it, just kind of jiggle it. It'll grab the oil pump gear, and then it'll go onto the keyway of the crank after. And this is torqued to 110 plus 100 degrees. Now it's time for the belt, and there's been some fiery debate online. These numbers should face you when you look down at the engine. The lettering faces you, otherwise failure is imminent. Alright, that might not be true, but at least in my mind it is. And that's all that matters to me, because I'm doing the work. If you don't care how it faces, then you put it on how you want. And I'll just make fun of you a little bit. It's a small belt, and since the other belt was absolutely destroyed, we're gonna have to spend a little effort in figuring out how this thing gets routed. And I'm gonna guess it goes under this pulley, under the other one, and up to the alternator. I'm gonna do the rest from the top. There's quite a ridge on this alternator, so I might need to go on the smooth pulleys last. Get our belt tool. It's not far away, but there's just a lot going on in an inch between the frame and the pulleys, and that is something. I wonder if they want that stop removed so you can bring that tensioner up for, oh, you know what, this has a double tensioner. That's right, I remember when I was playing with it out of the car that this tensioner over here also responds to a 15mm wrench. So let's do that. See, I can do that with this tensioner. We're gonna go get as much grab as we can. Now this should go down on here. I say should because it comes off the crank. Man, this isn't one you'd want to do with the motor mount in place, I guess. Of course, it's not hard to take it out. Both tensioners are maxed out and the belt doesn't really fit. I'm guessing that's why the belt was left on there way too long. Nobody wanted to deal with it. We'll figure it out. It's got to probably be 100% on the crank. I might have to turn the camera off to get this on here. It doesn't want to work with you guys watching. It's the best thing come up with, huh? The good news is you save a couple tenths of a mile per gallon in traffic because the car shuts off at lights. Which I have a similar system in my car, but it doesn't use the alternator, it just uses the starter, and the starter's a little heavier duty. Let me play with this a while with the camera off, see if I can get it to go on. I took the stop out of there, see if that helps. I got my Capri Stubby 19 on the belt deal. And I don't think it goes any further. Brought you in for the grand finale, and now you're looking for a refund. I don't blame you. Holy moly. I'm not gonna lie, it didn't go right on when I turned the camera off, but within a minute or so of having it off, I felt a pop and the belt went over the ridge of the pulley. It's on. Now, should be able to go like this, like that. Put our cool stop design thing back on. I'm not sure what it does because I couldn't pull it any further with this off. I have no idea what it's supposed to do. because it hits the bracket underneath the bracket. So it must be designed to make noise when the belt is getting worn or stretched or whatever, but I don't know. I'm done trying to figure it out. Bill and Bob's creation. I'm going to do the axle next, and then we'll start working on some fluids and things like that. We're going to minimize the boring content. If the videos have to be a little shorter, then that's what's going to have to happen. But I see a lot of people scrolling past like half the video, so might as well make the video half the length and more interesting, right? I know some guys and girls want to see full-length videos, but not everybody does. I'm thinking 20 to 30 minutes is the sweet spot from what I've been seeing as far as the watch time. It's probably when I sit here flapping that most people scroll past. It's good stuff. Now I've still got the motor suspended, although you can see how that's loose. You can put your fingers under this mount, but this one you want to tighten first. I'm going to tighten this side because it's suspended, and once this is tight, then I can let it down, and this will be flush on the frame and I can tighten it. Don't do it the other way around, because you'll be forcing the oil pan to take the load while there's a jack under it. Now I should be able to let my my cool little V4 air jack down. Nice. The jack actually works pretty good. That's pretty handy. Not just because they gave it to me to do a video on. I actually kind of like it, because with my regular floor jack, this handle's sticking out here. I mean, this is flimsy. I don't like the way this handle, this two-piece handle thing, I don't like that at all. I wish they had a better way to do it, like it should slip inside it and have 2 bolts or 4 bolts go through it, instead of having this cheap tin sheet metal stuff. That I don't like. Everything else I do. I find it easier to transport with this in here. And you put it in this top row, this top place. That's mostly for storing it, because you can't really pick it up by it. But here there's a notch in there, so you can pick it up easier and have some control over it. Now, this axle. It's got that flange in there. I'm not sure if it pops off of that or not, but I took this axle out of the box, and this looks like the driver's side axle, which would not be surprising at this point. I'm gonna have to check and make sure, because the seal rides right there, and this splines into a transmission. But is it possible it goes into the intermediate part of the axle? I guess. Alright, I'll pop the brake hose out of here, so when this comes out, I'm going to take these 2 strut mount bolts out. When this comes out, I don't want to stress that brake hose, because the internet will be ablaze. Hey, wait, maybe I get a bunch of clicks and views and... Okay, never mind. We don't play that here. There'll be no cleavage and no clickbait. Just lots of making it work.
A wrench can be a hammer. And a hammer can also be a wrench if you swing hard enough.
Now, since I got my nuts off the axle, that should go out. I'm thinking this is the only way I can see if that's the right axle or not, by taking it out. Because this car is not going anywhere until we do a bunch of work on it anyway. I didn't reattach this yet because we're not done up in there. Gonna save this little shim, goes on the new axle, and I'll do something like stick it on these strut bolts in case it might get forgotten, depending on how many distractions we get. I'm gonna lift this up and see if that'll slide out of there, or if I have to unbolt the flange. I want to say I remember unbolting the flange last time I did one of these, but it's been a minute. Give this some love. Oh, come on. Is it that easy to prove me wrong and that's the right part? That'd be awesome. I'd much rather be wrong than have that part wrong. Look at that thing. Can you believe how easy that came out? Oh, I'm not really done yet, but I'm feeling pretty confident about it. It's only a ½ inch further and it's out. I'm gonna lower it down. We'll pull that thing out from waist height instead of over our head where you might get bonked. I don't want to mess up my hair. Alright, listen, man. There it is. Ooh, I gotta clean up that mess. Let's see if that axle's the same. I'm feeling a lot more confident about it now. Look at that thing. Awesome sauce. This will go out in our scrap pile. Oh, I got for those of you who've been watching the project truck videos, I redid that carburetor. Had a flooding problem. I got it a lot better. It's not running as rich anymore, but it is still running rich at idle. And the fuel is still evaporating from the fuel bowls. I think I'm going to put fuel injection on it. There'll be a video. And I don't mean like OEM fuel injection, where you got to take the manifold off and all that. I'm just going to put one of those fuel injection throttle bodies on it. They seem pretty simple. I know a lot of people are talking about how complicated they are, but compared to most cars, those aftermarket throttle bodies that look like carburetors, they're actually pretty simple. It's got a map sensor inside, TPS sensor. You put an oxygen sensor in the exhaust, and it monitors fuel trim and adjusts for air density, air temperature, all that stuff. Where a carburetor, you're constantly tuning and tweaking, and when it sits a little while, they get real angry. Not that injectors can't do that, but the modern injection systems are way less fragile. Some of my old timers might not like it, but that's the truth. Every time I work on old cars, we're tinkering with carburetors non-stop. Modern cars sit for a year, charge the battery, and off you go. As long as the gas doesn't turn to turpentine, the injectors usually are fine. Anyway, get back to work. You might notice I took the axle off and got it out of my way. It wasn't hurting the hose, it was just in my way. Two 21mm bolts solved that problem. Now, I'm going to ask for a little cooperation, gently at first. We'll see how it goes. There you go. Everyone's getting along nicely. Now, I happen to have an axle shim. Let's get a bolt handy first. First bolt's the hard one. It's not that hard. Set the camber close. Put it right in. We are going to do a wheel alignment, but the camber shouldn't really be affected because it's just barely, you can probably get 1/10 of a degree of change, not much. The spline's on the bolt, so it's stuck to the hub, but the strut does have a tiny little bit of clearance. Axle nut. That is a 32. Feels a little loose on it, but a 31 doesn't fit at all, so. That's just a rubber biscuit. Back from whence you came, varmint. We're gonna do a brake push too, so I've already done the other 3 wheels. I'm gonna do this one with the wheel off. Just a rubber booty away from making the magic happen. I got my fluid dispenser on top on the master cylinder already. Let that go till we get some clean fluid. We'll keep an eye on that bottle. Get it about halfway down, and that last wheel will be done. I'm gonna go all Castrol kit on this Corolla and change this oil real quick. I'll meet you guys back here in a minute. Came with the box and everything. That is pretty cool. So we can throw this in the trash. Right from GM. Now, there's a hose here. Clamp underneath it. And we're in business. That's how it's supposed to be. You can't budge the other one. Turned into plastic basically. Check the clamps I didn't loosen also. I think the only thing going to be left on this now is to check it for leaks, make sure the belt is happy, and I think wipers, and then this one's done. Should be happy to get her car back too. It's a slightly older, I say older, you know, like my age, retired lady, very nice lady. Loves her car too, but mostly loves it that she doesn't have any payments, and you know, she's going to put some money into it this week and not have to pay $500 a month for the next 5 years. That's a good idea. If you don't have to have new cars and fancy cars and stuff all the time, keep a car 8 or 10 years is probably a good idea. 5 years of payments, 5 years without, and then maybe you get something new, because by then the technology has gotten quite a bit better and you can justify spending a little money if you can afford it. This thing's basically good to go. Let me go check the list, make sure we've got that everything we're supposed to do on the list. I did the coolant and the brake fluid. I'm not sure if there's an induction service. I know there's wipers. But if there's anything else interesting to show you, I certainly will. But this car is basically done. We're going to fire it up in a minute. I'll show you all that. Got my fancy wiper blades on. Got my air inlet in. Ready to fire this thing up. Let's do it. Wish me luck. I mean, let's be serious. There's no luck involved. We are going to have to get the scanner and turn the check engine light off. Stop horsing around. I'm going to make sure. I'll look at charging data, stuff like that. We'll clear that pesky light. And then we're going to take this thing for a drive once we verify that information. You guys might have seen this car in the background for a few months. I just walked past it to get my scanner. Look. It's running. This is the car that the bumper's like sitting out there in the grass. She's a gem. While I get the scanner booted up, this is American. It's a Buick. Let's put the light on so I can see my pretty face even better. That little Mitsubishi, the engine blew up about 6 years ago. So they put it in the yard. It was her mom's car. So it has sentimental value for them. They wanted to get it running again. And it sat so long with bad gas in it that it had corroded through the gas tank. And all the fuel pump and everything in there destroyed. So we found an engine for it. We had a hard time finding the gas tank. We put the engine in, got that ready to go while we tried to find a gas tank. It took 2 or 3 months to find a gas tank that wasn't rotted or crushed. And Joe put the gas tank in today with a new fuel pump in it, and got that all straightened away, and a fuel filter that was full of rust. That thing runs. And I'm not sure exactly how much their bill is going to be, but easily 10 times what that car is worth. So your guess is as good as mine. But it's running for them, and she said she doesn't care what it costs, which is not something you ever want to tell anybody. Luckily here, we're not completely crazy like some places might be with her. The car is literally worth like $300. But it has sentimental value. But you go into a shop and you say, I don't care what it costs. That's not the way to approach it. Say, let me know what it costs, and then I'll decide if I want to spend that much money or not. And then go from there. If you tell them, I don't care what it costs, I'm going to fix it no matter what when you bring it in, trust me, a lot of places are going to really take advantage of it when you do that. I'm not saying every place would, but 9 out of 10 would. So be careful. That's all I'm saying. Let's get this all booted up, get these codes cleared. We're already done the repairs that caused the codes, but I want to look at some charging system data on this car, and then we'll take it for a drive. Just gonna be a second. Keep it down over there, caveman. Oh. See, nobody takes me seriously. Let's bring up the charging data really quick. They just brought me another ticket I gotta look at. You doing that on purpose? They just brought me another engine, a diag with a noise or something in the suspension. But what I want to see is electrical. See if it shows charging system, which the light's out, everything's good with all that, so we should be good. But I want to look at it and see. Look, you can, the one thing you can do, I like a lot of good scanners, will have this data right up top. 14.7, charging nicely. But you want to borrow a decent impact? Let me find this data pit. I'll show you what I was going to look at here, but let's see what these say. There you go. That's all I need to see. The computer data shows the same thing that the ALDL does. Everyone's happy. I'm going to shut the hood on this thing, take it for a quick drive, then I'll come back, give the fluids all another once over, double check that that crank seal is nice and dry, and this car will be done. If anything more comes of it, I will certainly show you. 2018 Hyundai Tucson. Looks like it's right out of the body shop. I don't know if you can see that body work, but I didn't say professional body shop, just someone's body shop. Someone's been working on the engine a lot too, but I want to get a peek underneath before I even try to drive it. And I like to look and see if there's something safety wise going on before I go try to drive something with parts hanging off of it or something, who knows. So let's get a peek under it. She is reeking some oil. This almost looks like someone just installed this engine. I see socket marks on the bolts, socket marks on the mounts. This, oh, that might be causing some noises and stuff. It's actually, it's polishing the sway bar. It's been bouncing on it for so long. It goes up in there like that, like that. So if we could find a nut for that, we could stop it from rubbing on the tire. But she said something about sluggish. Now, does that mean when you hear a noise, it doesn't feel right to you? That's possible. Someone has just put this transfer case in there. Maybe that's what it is. I saw bolts. So someone else did a bunch of work, and Jimmy's gonna figure out what's wrong. That's right, you know it. Why is that? Ugh, that doesn't want to turn. Oh, I know why. It's in park. The car's in park, so it won't go. Make sure the diff turns. There you go. Alright. Now we're getting somewhere. I don't see anything safety wise to be concerned with. I'm gonna get a nut with a washer so this isn't banging on stuff. We'll put that up on there and then we'll go drive it. Alright. Got both of my nuts on there. This thing is perfect. Should be road test worthy. I'm still kind of concerned, but not like something's gonna fall off. But I'll bring my cell phone in case I don't make it back. Let's put it that way. Something weird's going on with this. I'm wondering if someone put that part in there because of weird noises. And the oil's good. I checked that already, so I was concerned. These things, they love to munch engines, but a lot of times people will hear noises and then add oil, but it's too late by then. I think it's more drivetrain what she's feeling. It's because she's somewhat sluggish. Anyway, let's let it down and drive it. 103, 132. So 800 miles overdue an oil change. But it is full and fairly clean looking at it. It's hard to tell by that, but it gives you an idea. Let's take it for a drive. They're waiting till you notice the red envelope. Means the customer's waiting. Someone else did $2,500 worth of work and they want you to figure it out real quick. Nothing like a road test to figure it out. If I hear some funny noises, I'll play them for you. You can hear like a motor mount rattle already, but that's... Okay, it's acting like catalytic converters are restricted. I waited till there was almost no traffic coming, just in case, and luckily I did, because it doesn't go. Yeah, it's got a clawed cat, I believe. We'll get it back on the lift. Maybe we can bust out our temp gun and see what's going on. A cat working correctly will be hotter in the back than it is in the front. Oh, look, they got big trucks now coming through the other way. That's funny. They got it all blocked off. Well, it's got a restricted exhaust. You can hear the cat. It actually whistles when you power brake it. I'll do it for you now. There's ways to do this. You can check manifold vacuum, see how that responds. You can also look at your calculated torque and your torque losses and things like that. If it can't get exhaust out, it can't pull air in, so there'll be all kinds of weird things happening. But you hear that whistling noise? That's the cat trying to get exhaust out of there. It's getting worse and worse the longer it runs, so it needs a cat. It's pretty simple, pretty cut and dry. These are 105,000 miles. There's been a couple of these that we put aftermarket cats on. You've probably seen my videos, and those cars haven't come back. They've worked well. I'm happy to see that, because a lot of times you have to get them from Hyundai to get good results. But even the Hyundai one only went 100,000 miles. So this car is gonna get a love rating of 6, by the way. It's in pretty nice shape, but she's gonna need a cat, and she's waiting with it. I don't know how she drove it. It took me for a while to get it up to 15, 20 miles an hour. All right, for kicks, let's take a look, show you what the vacuum does when the cat's bad. It's already got fairly low intake vacuum, but some of these modern engines will kind of do weird stuff like that. But we'll hit the gas and we'll show you what it does under load. When you're hearing that noise, watch what the gauge does. Might not be in the right place, because it shouldn't hold the vacuum. Let's find a different port. If I can find a different one, then we'll try a different one. Let's try it now. I got it in the PCV port. Vacuum dropped right off. That's what we call in the business no bueno. If you guys saw yesterday's video, we had the wrong mount. Now supposedly we got the right one. I don't know what brand this is. Not up to me, as you might know. We're gonna go ahead and slap this in here, and then we'll even put the bolts in after that. Pretty quick and easy. If you saw yesterday's video, it's 4 bolts here, 3 bolts there. Sneak it out from under the AC lines and then bolt that back up. So let's do that real quick. This one was the really long one, if you remember. I think it was something like that. It came out. And if it still vibrates, we'll change the other 2. There's 4 of them all together. The backstory on this car: the customer drove it off an embankment about 4 or 5 feet in the air, and when it bottomed out, it broke all the motor mounts. So Joe put the mounts in originally and they lasted a few months. The aftermarket mounts, you know, we're gonna try some more of them and see, but eventually we're probably gonna end up going to factory mounts, I'm guessing. I don't know, I'm gonna hope. I want it to be taken care of for the customer. The only problem is positivity and hope. Along with 50 cents will get you a token for the subway. Well, it used to. Probably can't get a token anymore for that. Get this thing bolted up quick and easy, and we'll see if the vibration's gone. You just got to reinstall this little vibration dealio. That's basically a dampener. Sometimes a metal mount or moving, the fact that the engine runs and sits on these mounts, the fact that it's moving and running, it can actually cause like a harmonic, like a frequency that you'll pick up with your ear or feel. And this little dampener on here should make a big difference to reduce that. It's not a perfect thing, but sometimes they'll have updates with larger dampeners or a totally different mount. It's all about mass. You're just changing the pitch. Bracket's all tight. Dampener's all tight. You let the jack down. Even though the motor moved a little bit, I did have a jack on. I put a rag on there so no one whacks their leg into it. I'm gonna consider a co-worker, that's right. Some might say I'm not. Someone told me I was mean to my co-workers. They love me, just so you know. And I'll beat their ass if they tell you otherwise. There goes nothing. Oh man, that's better. It's funny, it's still not perfect. I can feel something very slight. But if you guys saw this, I've worked on this car now, this is 3 different days, a little each day. Transmission mount we did was really bad. It was roached, it collapsed. And I mean, it was literally rattling. So, it's way better. Now it just feels like your normal rattly Nissan Rogue with 62,000 miles on it. Right about the life expectancy. There's 2 vehicles I was gonna ever tell you to avoid in my lifetime. One would be a Jeep Patriot, and the other would be a Nissan Rogue. Any other vehicle, I'll take a Mini Cooper over one of these. And I do not like Mini Coopers. The thing is, I make a lot of money on Nissan Rogues. Transmissions and axles and motor mounts. It's done. Customer says, I think my water pump is leaking. To which I reply, poppycock, your water pump's over here. That's coming from your radiator, sir. That's terrible news. It looks like there's something poking into the radiator over there. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. Let me go ahead and stick your head in there real quick with a better light. Let's get a more professional studio setting going. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I'm going to try. Come on, GoPro. Not sure if that shows up. Come here. Come here. Okay. So, hope you didn't get dizzy right there. I'll edit that a little bit better. But something hit this radiator. So it needs a radiator. The water pump, I can wiggle the pulley a little bit though. I don't like that. Could it need both? I don't know, maybe. But other than the belt moving, I can see the pulley just a little bit. But another thing I see, a little bit of corrosion underneath the water pump too. So it might need both. We're gonna have to keep the radiator's a big leak, and the water pump might be leaking a little bit when we're done. So we'll leave that up to the customer, but car's got good tires on it, got new brakes. This is a 2015 Chevy Equinox, I believe. I'm gonna let Darren make sure. I want to give you guys good intel. Let's see here. 2017 Chevy Equinox. Cooling system concern, I think it's my water pump. 2017 Chevy Traverse. That's right, the Equinox is the little one. This is the big one. And they don't give you a lot of room on these, but it's probably actually easier to do the radiator than it is to do the water pump. Look at that thing. Where is it? You guys see a water pump down there? I don't. Someone already put a hose clamp on that though. It's worth a try. But we know what's leaking for sure, so. The lady with the catalytic converter, she drove it home. She said, "That's crazy, I don't have that kind of money." And she drove it home. I felt bad for her, but I mean, there's nothing I can do. You can't, you know, back in the old days, you'd hollow out the catalytic converter and hope that your co-workers weren't really noisy. So God forbid you disconnect the air hose a second. That's funny. And he's got a blue tag. I feel bad now. We'll see what we can do. It's a nice car though. It's like a 7 on the love rating. So, and it's probably going to be tomorrow. We'll see what comes of it. All right, boys and girls, another successful day in the shop. Mystery, intrigue, fun, adventure, action, drama. What else? We didn't miss anything today. I think we covered it all. Hope you enjoyed it. We're going to pick up on this tomorrow on this Chevy Traverse. So thanks for watching. Torque that like button if you enjoyed today's video before you head out, and maybe check out the Amazon store for a little, or the Sticker Mule store too. And we got so many things going on over here. Thanks for watching. Hope I see you in the next one. You're awesome.